any of that because you didn't. So, reintroducing myself, I'm Andrea Theojohn with the ADS Agency. Today is the first day of the Hello Fall Challenge, and it's just my favorite. Fall is my favorite time of year, and a close second is spring. And it's why I always do a Hello Fall Challenge and a Hello Spring Challenge just to celebrate the season. And it's a good excuse, like we need much excuse, to focus on our marketing and branding for our businesses, for our brands. And in this case, in this Hello Fall Challenge, it's for our personal brands. So each and every one of you has a personal brand, whether you like it or not. You've got one, whether you like it or not. And you know why? Because personal branding really isn't new. It really isn't. It just is a term that's become a thing. I remember when Oprah addressed everyone once and said that she didn't even realize she was a brand. She just was doing her, right? So brands have been around. It's just your reputation. It's just who you are. It's perceptions about who you are, how people see you, how they think of you. A great way to think about brands is a horse, of all things. Think about a horse and think about what separates and differentiates a horse from a cow, right? Because they're both mammals, true? They're both mammals. They have hair, they have four legs, they have tails, they have ears. The similarities go on and on. But clearly, a horse is distinctively different from a cow. It's just why? It's just much more graceful. The flick of its tail is far more beautiful than the flick of a cow's tail. It's a lot more muscular in physique, right? It's got a specific sound. It makes a neigh, which is different from any other animal in the world. And so we can go on and on about the differences, but they are some unique things that make a horse a horse. And many of them can be very intangible, but we know a horse when we see it, right? And so that's just to put the point that there's a lot. Yay, Amy from Monroe, Louisiana. Hey, girl. Hey, Amy. How are you, lady? Good to see you. Thank you for saying hello, because I can never tell who's like actually watching unless you say hi. So how are you? All right. So the point of all that is to say that much like a horse, brands are like horses and cows, and the difference between them. Brands just are that montage of so many things, people's experiences with you, how they think of you, what they think of you when they describe you to someone else. All those things come together, and it's just based on what they see about you online, which we'll talk about a lot, and their experience with you offline as well. So many elements go into you as a personal brand. And so whether you like it or not, you've got a personal brand. Even my friends who are non-existent on social media still have a personal brand. It still exists. Julius Caesar had a personal brand, whether he liked it or not. It still exists, whether the internet exists or not. The internet and social media and online stuff is just another tool that we can use in our tool belt to amplify our message. Ultimately, and Trey Deadweiler, if you're still watching this, will love this, it's ultimately so that we can serve far many more people. That's the point of using a tool like the internet and online digital tools to our advantage. So hey, hello, thank you. And whether you're watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, we couldn't get on Twitter because they said we're doing too much, but thank you for joining. Again, you're watching the Hello Fall Challenge Day 1. And if you haven't joined the Hello Fall Challenge yet, you're still welcome to join. You can just go to hellofallchallenge.com, just like it sounds, Hello Fall Challenge, and sign up there. It's just a 3-day challenge. And so today we're talking about your personal brand. How do you think about yourself as a personal brand? And then also, how do you assess your personal brand? So thinking about a personal brand is what I want to address real quick. And it's very, very important because a lot of people have a lot of issues when they think about branding themselves, the actual intentional act of branding yourself. There's a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions that go into that. Trey said, for sure. I know, right? Probably my comments are delayed here, but I'm so glad I saw it. So thinking about your personal brand and people's feelings about it, I hear a lot about people's feelings because I deal with people's personal brands all day long. And that's because business owners have a personal brand. And if you are a business owner, you basically are your brand for quite some time until you hire on staff and all of that. Even when you hire on staff, you still are often the figurehead, the face of your company, correct? And so entrepreneurs have a big reason to have a personal brand. People in corporations who are climbing that corporate ladder, you have every reason to push your own personal brand for so many career elevating reasons. You've got goals, you've got dreams, maybe even want to go to a different job or company. All of that is a personal brand experience. And so here's the problems that I hear people have with personal branding. One, they feel doing personal branding, talking about yourself, hyping yourself up, it's what it feels like to a lot of people. It feels weird. It feels unnatural. And I totally get it. I totally get that. It feels weird. People don't want to do it. They say it makes them feel vain, right? It makes you feel vain to brag about the awards you've gotten and all your credentials and all these degrees you have and how very highfalutin we are and such. People feel weird. It makes them feel weird. It makes them feel vain. If that's not your problem, it often also is that we just don't know how to do it. We don't know how. How do we intentionally go about creating a personal brand? We already established that a brand exists. You have a personal brand, whether you like it or not, whether you're intentional about it or not, you've got one. But if we want to be intentional about shaping that brand, we don't know where to start. And it feels awkward because we don't know what we're doing and we don't want to do it wrong. And we see a lot of people out there who, we've all seen it, where people are personal branding themselves and it feels very off-putting. It feels off-putting because of the way that they're doing it. It feels like they're bragging or something. And that's another thing that I hear is that people don't want to feel like they're bragging when they're talking about themselves or talking about their credentials or what they do, which, by the way, is not all of what personal branding is. It's not all talking about ourselves. So I'm going to tell you about how to flip the switch on all this and think of it very differently. Okay. So how do you think of personal branding in a very different way? Instead of thinking it's about me because it's a personal brand, obviously you would think it's about you. It's not about you. It really is about the people that you serve. And when you start looking at it like that your personal brand exists, you essentially exist to serve others with your gifts, with your talent, with your expertise. That is a thing. Hey, Claire. I know, right, girl? High five to you. High five to you. I know you and I are on the same wavelength like all the time. That's the thing that matters about all this is are we putting others first in this journey of personal branding, in this journey of life, right? And if we put the focus on others and not on ourselves, it makes personal branding, that act of putting ourselves out there, so much easier to swallow. It makes it so much, and it actually empowers you because now you start thinking, this is not really about me. When I share my credentials with the world, when I share the latest award or leadership thing I got, which I just did get one. Shout out to all my leadership co people who are amazing. When I share something like that about myself, it's to help others know that other people, not just me, it's not just Andrea saying I'm fantastic and you should listen to me. It's other people saying she's got something going on. You might want to listen to her. It's credibility, it's trustworthiness. And so that matters because everyone's time is precious, right? Our attention is being, just the fact that you're listening and watching this right now is amazing because you could be doing a billion other things, correct? You could be watching a million other things. And so attention is precious. And we want to know that the person that we're listening to, especially if we don't know them, is credible and worth our time. And also that they're not going to lead us down the wrong path because they're really just here to steer us wrong, correct? Because there is that out there, correct? Absolutely. Oh, Elvia, hi, girl. She says, I need this chat as I'm notorious about thinking I'm bragging. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I got to show this. She says, as I'm notorious about thinking I'm bragging or bringing much attention to me in a way that I'm seen as, who does she think she is? Exactly. Exactly. And Claire says, you love how I could highlight you guys like this. It's awesome. Claire says, credibility is an undervalued concept. Precisely. Precisely. All right. So, Elvia, I want to get back to this comment. I need this chat. Notorious about thinking I'm bragging. Right. And who does she think she is? Correct. Correct. Because when you do start putting yourself out there, you will get a little bit, let's just call it what it is. You will get a little bit of that haterade. A little bit of hate, right? But also, could some of it feel legitimate, from people that matter to you, people you do? So a lot of people you may not care about if they're just haters. It's easy to say, don't worry about your haters, brush it off. We get that mentality. But if we didn't care what people thought, we would not need each other, right? We live in an interdependent world. And so we do need each other. And so this is why it matters what people think of us, because we all need something. We all need people for various reasons, for our goal, to help us reach our goals, to live, and for many other reasons. And they need us. And so because we're an interdependent world, it does matter what people think of us. And it is hurtful, detrimental to our reputation when someone thinks, like my friend says, who does she think she is? They think you're doing too much. They think you're being a little extra, as we might say, being very casual here with you guys. But that's possible, right? And so this is the fine line of personal branding. It can very well be seen as who she thinks she is, as my friend Elia so eloquently put it. Who does she think she is? And it can also be seen as noted. I didn't know that she did that. I didn't know that she had XYZ under her belt, that she was a Six Sigma, this, that, and the other, and went to Scotland, which is one of my fun things I get to tell people. Whatever it is that you've done with yourself in life so far, you have the right to share that. But again, it has to be done in a very tasteful way, And so again, go back to this mindset of always try to find the angle that you can share it in a way that's helpful to others. Okay. There's always an angle. There's always a way to do that. And so if you feel like you're getting to that space where people are feeling like you're doing too much, pause and check yourself, because if you feel like that, it's possible. It's possible. And Elvia, you and I can always have an offline chat about your brand, because you've got an amazing space where you are. So my friend Elvia is at the Greenville Chamber of Commerce in Greenville, South Carolina. And so she's very, very highly visible. I love this position for her. And so she's out there a lot. And so you have every reason to shape your personal brand. And it's a wonderful position to do that. But again, it does have to be very thoughtfully done, thoughtfully crafted. Okay. And I just want to go back to Claire's point that credibility is an undervalued concept. I love that. That's going to be my second. Oh, okay. Olivia, I'm reading your other comment. That was going to be your second thought, that those who do know me and have put a wonderful word out there for me just leave me so impressed with what they either say or write about me. They even leave me impressed when I hear or read those comments about myself. I tend to leave it to others to talk about me, but I know I must own it and be my own spokesperson. Yes. Be your own spokesperson, because who can do it better? Who else knows you like you know you? You've got to be your best cheerleader. I mean, you have to be your own spokesperson out there. All right. So we've established that personal branding, you've got a personal brand, whether you want it or not. This act of personal branding is a part of shaping your own narrative, of controlling your own narrative, so to speak. You've heard that terminology before, controlling your own narrative. This is what this is, okay? Because if you don't, people will control that for you, and you're still going to have a brand. It's just not controlled by you. So I would rather you actively, intentionally take control of your personal brand than others do it for you. But again, to our point with Elvia, it's got to be tastefully, tactfully done, right? It's a very, very delicate thing. Okay, but I don't want you to be afraid of it at the same time. All right, so this was good, Elvia. Thank you so much. Couple points here. We talked about how everyone has a personal brand. Fixing your mindset. People talk about how they don't have time, how doing personal branding is too much. They feel like you have to live and breathe social media and digital world stuff just to do it right. It's only worth it if you've got 10,000 plus followers. People don't know where to begin. We talked about that. People think, and this is specific to the digital world, if I'm not going viral, I'm not doing it right, or it's not worth it. Okay, that's a real feeling. Again, people don't know how to do it. They don't feel they're good at it. We talked about how it makes you feel or look vain, like you're bragging. Some people, like my husband, is only a voyeur on social media or the digital world. They're not a creator. They just look, and they may interact every now and then, but they don't really put any content out there. So if that's you, that's a big hurdle to get over. And also, people don't want to be judged, right? And so those are all real hurdles that people are dealing with. And I know that because I see it all the time. This is why the mindset shift is so important. Again, if you're just joining, the mindset you got to have with this personal branding is that this is not about you. It cannot be about just you. It has to be about other people. Okay. And that's what makes this worth it. And that's what makes it not feel weird and everything. So if you get nothing else out of the Hello Fall Challenge, please remember that it is about personal branding, is about serving others with your personal gifts, talents, and expertise. This very act of putting on this Hello Fall Challenge is a gift of mine to the world because I'm sharing with you my own gifts, talents, and expertise through this challenge, right? And so similarly, you may have your own different ways of giving your talents and gifts and all that great stuff that you've got inside you. All right, so mindset, instead of the negative stuff, these are a couple mantras. And for those of you who signed up for the challenge, you're going to get this over email. So don't worry if you're driving or moving around or whatever, I will share this with you. These are positive self-talk mantras to say to yourself instead. So one thing to remember is every tool, say this with me in your head, or if you're alone, you can say it out loud. Every tool can be used for good or evil. I choose to use the digital world for good. Okay. And I'm saying that's important because a lot of people think social media and the internet, Twitter, oh, it's so ugly and nasty, especially when we think about politics and all of that gets thrown out there. It's mudslinging, it's hatred, it's ugh. You can think of all the nastiness that exists on the internet, or you could think of all the goodness that exists and your contribution to that goodness, because the internet is just a reflection of the real world. True. And so to dismiss the internet and the digital world and all that just because there's nastiness on it is like you dismissing the real world and saying, I'm not going to participate in the real world because it's nasty, right? And so what I want you to do is focus on the goodness and how you can use these tools for good, okay? So that's one thing I want you to say to yourself. Another thing you can say to yourself, I choose to use the digital world for thought leadership. Thought leadership. I know you all know that phrase and what it means. So you won't spend much time on that. I choose to use the digital world to become known for X, fill in the blank, in my space, to become known for blank, fill in the blank. What's that thing that you want to become known for? You like that definition of personal branding? Thank you, Elvia. What's that thing you want to become known for? And here's the danger in that I also see is we as human beings are 360 people, right? There's so much to us. And so we want to put everything about us, I want to say out there. Not all of us wants to put everything about us out there, but a lot of us do want to. We've got so many projects and ideas in our head. We've got so many interests and things we care about. And so we tend to put everything out there as it comes to us. And the problem with that is that nothing seems to emerge as a resounding, consistent theme for you when you're always putting just anything out there, correct? And so that's not saying that you can't have multi-passions, multiple passions, multiple interests, and you can't create potentially separate brands for that. That's more like personal branding 201. Today we're on personal branding 101. So if you had to think of one area, and usually this is a professional area, but if think of one area, and if you know it, you can put it in the comments, but think of at least one that you think you want to be known for. All right, think of one, not 5, not 10. Okay. All right. So that's important. I choose another mantra for you. I choose to use the digital world to lift the profile of my brand and therefore lift the profile of my company. This one's important. I could talk to you all day about this one, but this one's important, especially for people in the corporate world, because oftentimes we're afraid of creating a personal brand because we don't want to get our hands slapped by HR for doing too much. And, you feel like you got to follow certain unspoken or maybe very spoken rules about how you put yourself out there and when. Oh, you posted that during work hours. There's all kinds of weird feelings about workspace and your personal brand. What I'll tell you about that is I firmly believe, and you got to decide this for yourself and what you can do in your own corporation for those of you in the corporate world. But I firmly believe that organizations should embrace the power of personal branding. Why? Because employees are the best, potentially best brand ambassadors you have out there. So if you empower them to lift their own profile in terms of their own personal brand, they have the opportunity to share their expertise and thought leadership and help others when it makes sense. Could they not plug your company when they're talking about industry related things? Of course they could, and they can do it in a way that's helpful to the company, right? It doesn't mean they have to be a spokesperson for the company at all times with everything they do. That's another thing we talk about all day long, but we won't do that today. But I do believe when you lift your own profile, if you work at a corporation, you're lifting the profile of the company. If you're an entrepreneur, you naturally lifting your own profile lifts the profile of your brand, your company. All right. And finally, we talked about this a little bit already, but the final mantra is I choose to use the digital world to serve others with my gifts, talents, and expertise. I choose to use the digital world to serve others with my gifts, talents, and expertise. One of my very, very favorite quotes is by Pablo Picasso. And if any of you know this, please put like a heart comment in the comments there, heart emoji. But my favorite quotes of all time is the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Pablo Picasso was on it. That one's good. So the big message I want you to take from this, I love this. My project is a reflection of my personal brand. I love that. Well, the story channel for children's bedtime stories. So great. Yay. And their wee lives. So cute. I love that. I love that, Claire. I did not know that, but I love that. We definitely should chat about that sometime. So the big takeaway today, and I was going to cover a whole nother topic, but what you're going to have to do is sign up at hellofallchallenge.com and get this information via email, because you've got 2 assignments tonight we'll go over before we get out of here. But the big takeaway tonight is that personal branding, when done right, should be a selfless act of service. It is just a way to serve the world as an individual. Okay. And so if you can think like that, Zig Ziglar's got another great quote, and I will not fill you with a billion quotes tonight, but Zig Ziglar said that if you can have anything in this life that you want, if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Is that true? It is, because people appreciate, whether they appreciate that with their dollars or they appreciate that with support of you or however it works out, people appreciate you sincerely helping them with the problem they have. And if you can help them with the problem they have, and you can help enough other people do that, you're going to be set in life. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that as a foundation for entrepreneurship, as a foundation for the work that you do in the corporate world, help enough other people get what they want. You can get anything you want in life. Absolutely. All right. So your 2 assignments tonight in the Hello Fall Challenge is 1, change your mindset about personal branding. It will take time. It is not an overnight mindset shift. Some of the things I mentioned, I know we breezed over them, but people really struggle with a lot of these issues from a mental, personal perspective. They struggle with it. And so I want you to download that. Assignment number 1 is just thinking through those mantras and changing your mindset about how you think about personal branding and shifting the focus from you to others. Shift it from you to others. It will make a lot more sense when you do that. Okay. All right. And then assignment number 2 is to actually assess your own personal brand. Assess your own personal brand. And so to do that, I'll just quickly gloss over that because we're running out of time. I know we kind of lost a little time because of my little own personal technical difficulties earlier in this chat. So if you're on the replay, you're going to have to fast forward quite a bit. But okay, assignment number 2 is to actually assess your own brand. I want you to think of 3 to 5 competitors. And that's weird to think of from a personal brand standpoint, but think of people who do something along the lines of what you do. The argument I get when I tell people to look up their competitors is, I don't have competitors. I'm so unique and nobody does what I do in the way that I do it. And no one has the idea that I have, but I guarantee you, even Claire's amazing bedtime stories, Scottish heritage for the wee babes idea, I guarantee you there's somebody out there writing some books like that right now. And so find who they are. Pick 3 to 5 that you think are doing a great job and just notice what they're doing well. Screenshot the stuff. All these instructions are in the guide that you're going to get tonight. If you haven't gotten it already, you should have gotten it over email. But Google your competitors, formally notice what they're doing well and what you don't like. What you do and don't like is a very good start to figuring out how to message and image yourself as a personal brand. Okay, so competitors is 1. You're also going to want to Google yourself. Google yourself. Do that right now. Google yourself. And don't just stop at that first page of Google. I want you to go to the next tabs of Google. You'll never be J.K. Rowling. Oh, I just saw your comment. You will be amazing. But J.K. Rowling is a wonderful aspirational, I call that an aspirational competitor. So maybe she is far, far from where you are now, but that doesn't mean that you can't glean some of her best practices from what she's doing, right? And that's what we want to do with our aspirational competitors. When you Google yourself, don't stop at that main page. Also look at the images page, the video page. Some of you may or may not have content there, and that's important because this is an opportunity for you to start shaping what people see when they Google you. This is part of the whole point of online digital branding for your personal brand. Okay, so that's the assignment tonight. Google yourself. Think about competitors. That one may take a little bit longer. There's some other little extra stuff, but the main thing on there is to Google yourself and take a fresh comedian George Carlin has this term, vujade, which is the opposite of deja vu. I always have to think about that. Vujade, which means to see a very familiar thing with fresh eyes. So you know yourself very well. You think you know yourself very well, but you have not seen it. You haven't seen yourself in the way that others see you for the first time. So with very fresh eyes, with vujade, I want you to Google yourself and think about how others see you. Laneda, hey, darling. I love your LinkedIn. I love this LinkedIn look for you. I love that. You're just so chic. Yay. I'm so happy to see you on here. Yes, vujade. See yourself with fresh eyes, the way others Google you. If you happen to have Googled yourself a good bit, go do it on someone else's computer. or phone or whatever. And again, don't stop on the first page, look on the other pages. Very, very important. All right. So if you have not done it yet, be sure to go to hellofallchallenge.com and check that out. You just put in your name and email and you'll get the emails. There are just 3 of them. It's not a lot because it's a 3-day challenge. Okay. And do the homework because there are prizes as always, because I love prizes. So I can do that. Okay. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Be sure to go into the A-Listers Facebook group is where you can go in there and ask questions if you have them. There's lots of amazing people in there who can answer questions besides me. But I would love to see you in there, A-Listers on Facebook. Don't go to A-Listers TikTok because that's a whole different experience. That's a whole different experience. Don't go to A-Listers TikTok. It is my group, but go to A-Listers on Facebook. Okay. And again, it was so good to see you. Welcome to the Hello Fall Challenge, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Cheers.